Hey everybody, it's your girl, Dr. Terra DeFoe on the Floor. And today my special guest is Jason Cole. Jason, thank you for coming to the show.
Hey, hey.
So give us a brief background because a lot of people may not be familiar with the name.
Jason Cole? Oh, my Lord. Good evening or good morning. Jason Cole. I am the executive director of the Michigan Minority Contractors Association. But my brief bio is I got indoctrinated into construction in 1986, going to Randolph Vocational Technical Center over on the west side, 6 Mile Hubble. And then left there, started working for my mother at Cole Financial Services in 1988. I matriculated through there and working for my mother. I ended up being fired and working for the federal government. I worked for the U.S. Small Business Administration, initiating loans for African Americans.
Wow.
My title was that specific. Find colored people some money.
Wow.
Left there only after 88 days. Couldn't get through probation because there's some beautiful Vietnam vets and college kids over at the Small Business Administration. Went back to the entrepreneurial side. Went from there to I finally got my freed up in 2008. We had a change in administrations, and so and started the process of starting associations and organizing colored people. And so what that looks like is in 2008, the National Association of Minority Contractors, 2012, the National Association of Minority Consulting Engineers, 2013, the Detroit Association of Urban Planners.
Wow.
2015, the National Association of Black Women in Construction Detroit chapter. And then in 2007, I forgot this one, the Real Estate Investor Association of Detroit.
So it's very clear that you know what you're talking about.
I'm winging it.
You winging it.
Yes.
So I want to talk about one, advocating for minority contractors is clearly a passion for you.
Yes.
You do it. You make it look easy. I'm quite sure that it's not.
No.
But talk about what it is. What does it really mean to be a minority contractor?
Well, first, that's defined by the U.S. Small Business Administration, the folks I used to work for, as African American, Hispanic American, Asian Pacific Island American, Native American, Alaskans or Aleuts, and now Hawaiian Americans.
Wow.
Yeah, they let them in. How about that? Yeah. And so you got to be one of those designations, designated by the federal government, and then your business has to be at least 51% owned by and controlled by one of those types of folks, and they call them protected classes, and so first that's the starting point, right? You as a person going into business, and then separately figuring out what the heck you do really well. It could be construction, it could be some other service or product or whatever.
Because a lot of times when you hear about minority contractors, people automatically relate it to construction or some skill trade.
Yeah.
But there's goods and services
heck yeah.
also.
Yes.
Why are we missing the goods and services? Do we not know about goods and services?
Yeah. Yes. We know about goods and services. We think it's too hard to get into that space. There are some certifications, and college, becoming a doctorate in something, really helps out, and not necessarily the masses want to do that. So a lot of folks just migrate into construction because everybody's doing it.
Because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
What is good in services? Give me an example of what is good in services.
So supporting the government beyond construction, just municipal services. They need IT work. They need janitorial work. They need the copy machines and computers to keep working.
Yep.
So all of those things that go into employees being on the jobs, providing desks.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's any and everything. And all the way up to municipal bonds, which we actually have some folks locally here in Detroit who do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at there.
Look at there.
And we're talking about bonds, economic development in any city. How important is it for minority contractors to be sitting at the table?
Oh, my Lord. It is tantamount to survival. And what I mean by that is if we're not there, the folks who are kind of on the ground, community level, block by block, there's a whole lot of flyover money going on in Detroit and downtown and midtown. So if folks who look like the neighborhood aren't at the table, the neighborhood will get ignored.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think that's when people talk about minority contractors, again, they go to construction, but they don't look at the goods and services, and then we're not at the table at all
No.
because we don't know what's happening.
Right.
So what are some of the common mistakes minority contractors make when they first start?
All of them. Yeah. So especially if you're a first generation entrepreneur, it's a French word that means you got to do everything. And not everybody is equipped to do everything. And then bringing on skilled folks. I find a lot in my arena that construction people will bring on family members,
Yes.
not necessarily that skilled in bookkeeping and finance,
Right.
Being a lawyer, reviewing contracts, understanding finances, improving your personal FICO score, creating a business paydex score. Really crucial items for your success and flourishing as a business owner. Because that's a lot of folks are entrepreneurs, meaning you're one person, you operate and you got some independent.
Right.
Being a business owner means you got some W-2s and some insurance, workman's comp. You're doing it right.
So just, just getting my LLC and getting that EIN number isn't enough.
That's a starting point. There's a whole lot more work than that. Yes.
And let's talk about that work, because I think a lot of people shy away from starting their businesses because they don't know what's all entailed with it, or they listen to or watch other people go under for mistakes that, those common mistakes.
Yeah.
So what are, some of the simple steps if I'm looking to start, my bakery?
Yeah.
How do I even begin to do that?
Right. So going back to an organization I work with or for the Small Business Administration, they have two distinct organizations as a subset. One, SCORE, which is the Senior Corps of Retired Executives, and then the SBDC. So that's kind of college kids. And then the SCORE folks are more mentors. Okay. So you can get both kind of worker, some muscle, from the Small Business Development Centers throughout our colleges and the Small Business Administration. The Small Business Administration will provide you with loan support, technical support, and then SCORE gives you mentoring. So your government does that already.
Wow.
It's called an entitlement. We don't necessarily use it all the time.
Wow. And why is that? Why don't we use it? Are we afraid?
We're scared. Yeah. And so as I tell people, the paperwork will kill you. Mm-hmm. And we haven't figured that out yet. We haven't listened to the right person. They haven't listened to your podcast.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's primarily it. And one of the things we were talking earlier about is Minority Business Enterprise Certification. I joined my mother's company in 1988, but I had kind of figured out the business plan and took her from 2 certifications to 195.
Wow.
Before the internet existed. And
wow.
That was a Herculean task, and my mother needed to allow me to send her 1040 and 1120. These are tax documents across the country in the mail. So she trusted me, but it made her a multi-millionaire.
Yes, she is, Miss Cole.
Yes.
Miss Cole.
Holla.
Thank you. And that's what this conversation is really about, because I know that I have a lot of people who want to start their own businesses. They want to get into, some sort of minority contracts or apprentice programs or things. And then they're like, how do I start? What meetings do I go to? How do I find this information? And then who's for real? You go online and this person is charging you, $500 to attend a class, and then you walk out with a bunch of websites. Right. This person, you attend, but you got to attend for 6 weeks. Yeah. And then, so it's so confusing to try to, wrap your mind around it. And I think that's one of the biggest hindrance on why people don't step out.
Yes.
They say if you have the day job, keep the day job.
Yes.
And then work the passion,
yes.
After.
Yeah.
But one thing you talked about was you advocated for women in construction.
Yes.
How did you come across having to advocate for women in construction?
Yes.
And then what were some of the things that you learned?
So it's a truly unique Detroit story. There was something back in the late 90s, early 2000s called the Detroit Black Women's Contractors Association. Unfortunately, the person who started that went on vacation, but she
Wow.
happened to be 6'2", and she's home now.
Wow.
Camp Cupcake. Yeah. So and so, just watching that, my mother was one of the board members and knew that something needed to be in place for Black women in Detroit to get a seat at the table.
Yes.
It's one thing for you to ask on behalf of yourself, but it's another to go as an organization.
Yes.
And there is power in numbers.
Yes.
So weirdly enough, as a man, I was the first member in December of 2005. But I pushed the ladies, and they didn't need too much pushing to run themselves. And actually, we're doing elections right now, and they would want me to be the president. Some of them would, some of them wouldn't. But I told them I would just be the vice president. I want to get them up, running, and flourishing, and so I can be completely away from it because it's theirs to have.
So how
Yeah.
how do you become a member?
Yeah. So it depended on which lane you're in. So my Real Estate Investors Association, we meet every first Friday from 6 to 8 up on 7 Mile at the Detroit Cabinet Manufacturing Design Center. And that's 12908 West 7 Mile, 2 blocks from the Home Depot.
All right.
Yes. And then joining is money, right? So it's $125 if you're a real estate investor. It's $250 if you're a minority contractor. It's $200 if you're a woman in construction. So it just depends on which
The
lane you
levels.
need to pick.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it sounds like different tracks focus on different things.
Correct.
Okay.
And it all comes together. And so I was real intentional about all the organizations I started over the last 10 years, 6 in total, to bring them together every November to talk about development. And we started that conversation in 2010. That conversation then produced something called the Developers Toolkit in 2014. And we just had another event on November 2nd. We had a panel of 6 ladies. That was the first time we had
Wow.
ever done that. Yeah, so that many women are engaged in development in Detroit right now.
Wow. And this is something that we don't hear a lot.
No.
We don't hear about, women in construction. We don't hear about the women that's sitting at the tables doing development. We don't hear about minorities doing any development, which is not true.
No.
There's a lot of minorities doing a lot of development around the city of Detroit. But unfortunately, that story seems to get lost in the sauce somewhere.
Well, it's not bleeding, it ain't leading. Come on now. Yeah. And to the point, there's a new organization called the Real Estate Association of Developers. The lead person is Alicia Moss, who is an African-American female.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, there we go.
There we go.
So when we talk about economic development and minority contractors, what do you see different from what Detroit does and maybe the cities like Cleveland and Atlanta?
Yeah. So the city of Detroit, unfortunately, in 1993, Anna Diggs Taylor allowed for Aero Office Supply to sue the city and win a judgment where the shelter market program was thrown out. And ever since then, we've had executive orders. And if anyone knows what Donald Trump is doing with executive orders, they last as long as that person's in the seat.
Right.
And then they've got to be renewed. And they're not as stringent as a act or ordinance.
Right.
So that's one of the things Detroit didn't do. I happened to be in Atlanta in 1989 when their minority program was thrown out, and they came back full force and full bore and brought in a new ordinance.
Okay.
To the point that myself and my mother, again back in 1989, so I'd have been 19 at the time, we wrote the prompt payment ordinance to the Bremer Marshall study. It's still in operation today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The guru of minority contractors.
Wow.
Anybody is looking to become a minority contractor, you most definitely need to hook up with Jason. And I will say his mom, but Jason will probably be the one walking you through the process.
Well, Patricia is there as our board treasurer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
mama overseeing the money.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So before the break, we were talking about the minority contractors and different classifications, some of the organizations that you have served and now continue to advocate with and for. The importance, the economic development side of minority contractors. Some people think, okay, once I classify my business as a minority contractor, I'm supposed to come into all of this money. Where did, have you heard that one? They're like,
Yes.
you're supposed to just get all of this money. Where did that come from?
So there's a
And is it true?
So partially.
Okay.
If you take the time to do the paperwork and get the designation, that allows you to then be open to partnership. My mother was in a 20-year partnership with a little small company called NTH, which stands for Nair, Tissio, and Hendo. They did the environmental assessment for the Silver Dome before it was built.
All right.
And it worked out pretty well.
Okay.
Even though it was based here in Detroit, we actually had 3 different office locations with them. So, yes, it's very valuable. The other thing that people hear about is getting your U.S. Small Business Administration 8A designation called the Granddaddy of them all. And those folks who are in that program for 9 years normally come out very wealthy at the end.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So do you do that application, or how does that work?
Well, I just found out Dr. Terra DeFoe will be doing applications. But yes, I do that application as well. And the price is going up in 2019.
Yes. We are going to rock this 2019
Yes.
piece out.
Yes.
On top of the economic development side of it, what are some of the challenges that businesses, I hear when I go to some of the meetings, some companies can't get bonded.
Yeah.
They can't get the insurance. They can't afford the insurance.
Yeah.
Is that still an issue?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that stays an issue because at the basis of any insurance or bond is that person's FICO score. So being an African American in Detroit, in America, just, hey, we got some challenged credit scores. So we have come up with a workaround. Our bonding company actually is out of Wisconsin, but they do bid bonds for free. And they do it based upon the sales of the organization as opposed to your FICO score.
Okay.
So that was one workaround. The other thing that I find in the financing space is having a working capital line of credit, which is essential for any small business, but specifically contractors. You got to have it.
And where do you get it?
So the Detroit Development Fund, who gets their money from the casino tax.
So somebody is getting some money from the casino.
Somebody, right? And so Ray Waters has been my partner for 11 years now. And I just recently asked him in the last 2 years, can he fund felons?
Wow.
Because unfortunately or fortunately, there are a lot of felons in construction. And because of the Patriot Act, that's a real question. And he was able to have his board approve that. So, yes, even as a felon, you can get a working capital line of credit. Because you don't want a loan. You want a working capital line of credit.
Yeah. Now, explain the difference.
Yeah. So a loan is kind of a term, meaning I got $25,000 for 60 months, as opposed to a revolving working capital line of credit. I can use the $25,000, get it all the way down to zero, and then pay it back and use it again. Month over month. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
See, this is something that
Huge.
a lot of people do not understand.
Yeah.
And even when you go to some business classes, they truly don't teach you that. They teach you to go get a loan.
Yes.
And to, make your payments on time.
Yes.
To build your credit.
Yes.
But they do not teach you about the turnover.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that we don't do is record the fact that you got friends and family to give you a loan. Just record that, and that becomes payment history.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, these are little tips that people are so missing out on, but yet nobody's telling us about these things. No. Oh, I know we're missing out on so much
stuff.
The economic field again, downtown Detroit, midtown. You're seeing some development happen in some of the neighborhoods. And over the next few years, hopefully we'll see more.
Not hopefully, it will definitely happen.
Definitely happen. And taking Livernois as an example, you had that building sitting right there on Livernois and 7 Mile.
B. Siegel.
Eyesore for years. I used to walk past that building every day to walk to Hampton Middle School. I lived on 8 Mile Livernois, and I took Livernois. I wouldn't catch the bus for some reason, but I walked to school every day.
Okay.
And I used to walk past, what was it, Porterfield Wilson,
Yes.
which was the car
Yes.
dealership.
Yes.
And so every time I walk past, I'd be like, oh, not that Pontiac is my car, you
Right.
know, you
My
pick out my
car.
car.
Right, right.
And so, but yet watching the avenue of fashion change over the years, and then, you know, become an adult, and then watching some of the stores, you know, pretty much just disappear, fade away.
Yeah.
And now it's, you know,
Yes.
it looks like it belongs in New York City.
Yes.
You know, the avenue of fashion is totally different. What do you think was the trigger that pulled individuals to come back to the city of Detroit to open up businesses?
Well, specifically on Livernois, it's rooftops, right? So the folks who live behind Livernois on either side make some decent incomes. So
Wow.
they have expendable income to spend in the retail strip. And the good thing is, as Porterfield Wilson kind of closed out his dealership, Glenn E. Wash, an African-American
Yes.
architect and a curmudgeon in the city, he put the Boston market there.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was happy to see that. I like Glenn as ornery as he is. And then the other thing that you'll start to see 3 or 4, maybe even 6 new businesses open between right around Otter Drive up to Pembroke, and that's going to be the Bartell family.
Yes.
Yes, so we're engaged in the rebirth of our city, and those are real Detroiters.
And it's another side of the story that's not told.
Yes.
You know, and it's sad because there's so much happening over in that area.
Yeah.
And again, things are happening on the east side of Detroit as well.
Yep.
Look at Jefferson, Alta Road. You know, there's new development that's happening over there. And then we have what is called
Norma
Motor
G's.
City Match,
Motor City Match.
which is a great program. And let you talk about Motor City Match and how it benefits.
Detroiters, yeah,
Yes.
regular Detroiters. So everybody thinks that's just new folks getting money. No, those are long-term Detroiters in the program, and every 90 days, $500,000 rolls out. And people are qualifying for the $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, and bringing new, vibrant businesses to thoroughfares that had not seen any activity in 20 plus years.
Yes.
And it actually feels good.
Yeah, and I went to a couple of ribbon cuttings, and you have anything from pet shops to bridal shops, all
Child care.
different, you know, child care.
Yes.
You have so many different things
Yeah.
that people are opening up, bakeries.
Yeah. Construction companies get
Construction
supported.
companies
Yeah.
get supported,
Yeah.
and then, like you said, if you don't get the award dollars, you get the technical support,
Yeah.
which can help you the next round.
Yes.
Around, you get daycares
Yep.
that gets money. So a lot of people miss out on these opportunities
Yes.
when they're on the City of Detroit's website. They're listed in different places. You
Right.
just have to do your research. The
Right.
same way we share fight videos and everything else.
Silliness.
We have to share
Yeah.
information that is
Positive.
going to help the next person. I mean, you have some young men who have some lawnmowers and they want to open up a lawn caring business.
Right.
They don't know about, they don't, try to get a loan or, try to hustle up to get the money that they can. But, starting out, the fear of, getting insurance, like, why do I have to get insurance? And then they run the risk of getting hurt.
Right.
And then they're not insured or
da-
hurting somebody.
Hurting somebody, damaging some property. Yes.
Yes. And so these are the things that you need to know to be able to protect yourself, protect your family.
Right.
Minority contractors in the city of Detroit, again, are doing very well. But yet, we need more of them at the table.
Yes.
We need more conversation.
Yes.
We need more opportunities. And in other places. I mean, like you said, in goods and services is another
Huge.
area where staffing,
Yes.
a lot of things that can happen for our community, but we have to be willing to come to the table and get the information.
Yes. And don't be afraid of paperwork.
Yes. Well, sometimes
Or
paperwork
hire a
just-
consultant.
And sometimes, and hiring a consultant doesn't mean that you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
You're hiring somebody that can help you navigate through the process.
Right.
A consultant has been there. They've seen other people make the mistakes.
Yes.
And they can help guide you along the way where you're pulling your hair out at
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning trying to write
Right.
or create a budget or do
Right.
something. and you leave out some key information, and then you submit it, and you wonder why you got denied.
Exactly.
And a consultant can look over the plan and say, well, I can see why you got denied.
Right. This right here is huge, and you got to have that in there. Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm just ending on, just the whole importance of, one, becoming minority contractors, and two, getting the information.
Yes.
Where can they go to get information?
Okay, you can start with my organization. You can reach or stop by my website at michmca.org. If you're a contractor, if you're a real estate investor, it's REIA of Detroit.com. If you're a woman, it's NABWIC, NABWIC.org.
Wow. And you remembered all of that.
Yes. One of the things I had to learn was putting websites together.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is there a phone number if they...
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, my cell phone number is area code 313-384-3337.
One more time.
313-384-3337.
Well, that ends our segment for today. Thank you, Jason, for coming on the show. I am your host, Dr. Terra DeFoe, and this is On the Floor.